Hello, everybody. My name is Martha Alter Hines, and I'm with Living the One Light. All right, I'm really excited to drop into this video with you. This video is going to be about the new moon in Gemini that we're having on June 6th, 2024. And I'm really excited because I'm going to first drop into various aspects, various layers of the astrology of it. It's really beautiful, really powerful. Yet another one of those. But then what I'm being asked to do in the second part of the video is to channel something that's wanting to come through about Aldebaran, the star, because this new moon is going to be very near Aldebaran. That's one of the things I'll talk about in a minute. Yeah, and suddenly it's similar to how the Pleiades just sort of needed to, something about their light needed to come through. All of a sudden today, the Aldebaran energy or light it's right here and wanting to move through me for you. So I hope you'll enjoy that. But that'll be the second part of what I do. So first, let's look at the actual astrology, and then I'll look at where this new moon is in the sky. And I'll talk a little bit about some of my own feelings and thoughts on it, what's coming through for me. But then I'll drop into what is alive here with Aldebaran and that light and that energy. And of course, I hold all of this very lightly because one of the things, if you've listened to me before, that's really important to me is that that I don't sort of prescribe what any of this means, that it's actually very Gemini energy that this really is, that I hold all of it in a way that we each have our own medicine and our own wisdom and our own teaching that's meant to be ourselves and that's meant to come through either for ourselves or for others or for the collective or all of the above. And actually, I feel that is very much a theme in this new moon. So yeah, so it all goes together. But number one, let's take a look at the actual chart of the new moon. All right. So here is the new moon. It's going to be June 6th, 5:37 a.m. Pacific time. And the moon and the sun will be together at 16 degrees, 17 minutes of Gemini. And very closely conjunct Venus, which will be at 16 degrees, 48 minutes of Gemini. So absolutely, this is right after the Venus Sun conjunction happens. And so Venus is in its superior conjunction to the sun right now, which means it's behind the sun from our perspective. And depending on, there are so many different ways that people think about the Venus cycle, but for a lot of people, that would indicate, Venus being in the underworld, some version of the underworld, or in the Inanna journey in the underworld. Again, people have different ways of thinking of that, conceiving of that, but that's one component, one way we could kind of bring in that Venus energetic there with the sun and the moon. Just in terms of the facts of the chart, another thing that jumps out at me is that this new moon and Venus are trining the south node. So it's, bringing in this really powerful energy of what I'm feeling in that is actually our gifts of our knowing of our past, that kind of thing. I'll get more into all of what I feel in like how I would interpret these things, but I'll just name them first. So the new moon and Venus trining the south node. And then also the new moon and Venus are going to be squaring Saturn. Saturn's at 1858 of Pisces at the time of this new moon. So that's also really significant. And then you can see here, this is Aldebaran, which is at 10 degrees of Gemini. So Aldebaran, like other stars, from our perspective on Earth, stays pretty stationary, but it moves 1 degree every 72 years. So there's the balloons. So in your own chart, Aldebaran would either probably, well, it'd probably be at 9, probably for most of us would be at 9 degrees of Gemini in our own natal charts. But at this point, from our perspective, it has now moved to 10 degrees of Gemini. For some people, if you're maybe in your 90s or something, it might be at 8 degrees of Gemini. Anyway, but it's around 10 degrees of Gemini. And yeah, so this new moon is going to be sitting pretty close to Aldebaran. And what else? Was there something else super important? Oh, so then also Mercury, which rules Gemini, will also be in Gemini, 6 degrees of Gemini, and Jupiter will have now moved into Gemini. So I'm recording this video actually on Friday, May 24th, 2024, and Jupiter is moving into Gemini tomorrow, May 25th. So that's a big shift of energy. And Jupiter, as of today, I mean, still today, is in 29 degrees of Taurus, right in the Pleiades. So if you haven't seen the Pleiadian, the video where I channeled the Pleiades or the Pleiadian light, and that calls to you, absolutely feel free to connect with that. That Pleiadian energy is still really, really, really strong because, well, certainly as I'm recording this, because we have Venus and Jupiter sitting there, and we have Sedna is not really actually in the Pleiades, even though it's at 0 degrees of Gemini. I'll show you that in a minute when I show you the stars. But anyway, that whole Pleiadian area of the cosmos is very powerful and strong right now. And it still will be at the time of this new moon, because Jupiter will still be right in that area. And Uranus is not too far from there also, and it will be there, you know, hanging around that Pleiadian area for quite a while. I mean, another, what, probably 2 or 3 years, because Uranus moves really, really slowly. So that Pleiadian energy is just really powerful and strong, period. So please go back to that Pleiades channel video anytime it calls to you. If it's calling to you 6 months from now, well, even 6 months from now, actually, it'll be extra highlighted again, because the sun will be opposite the Pleiades. So anyway, my point being, anytime the Pleiades call to you and that video calls to you, please enjoy it and use it whenever you feel the call. Okay. Yeah, another thing to mention around the time of this new moon is, for those of you who were either part of or watched my video on the Oort cloud being Lelea Kuhanua. So as I explained in my video and in the free gathering, which is still available for free, Lelea Kuhanua is not on our ecliptic. It's absolutely not. It's does its own thing. It's so far out from our main solar system that we just can't think of it on our ecliptic. But if we were to think of it on our ecliptic, it's going to be conjunct the north node of the moon on June 8th at 13 degrees of Aries. And so that's just 2 days after this new moon. So I definitely feel that energy present there. Another thing, another energy that's present now and is going to get even stronger over the summer, or, you know, summer in Northern Hemisphere, is Makemake, which is one of the Kuiper Belt objects. And then also Salacia, which is one of the Kuiper Belt objects. And I think I'll probably make a video just on Makemake and Salacia at some point, I'm guessing, especially Makemake. There's something, yeah. So Makemake is going to be near the south node of the moon through much of the rest of this year, especially the center part of this year, and the north node is coming to Salacia. So those are just energies that I definitely feel like are up and important to feel into. And something I've said in previous videos, and that I talked about a lot with Lelea Kuhanua, is that I feel really hesitant to, what's the word, define them, because, you know, they're well, Makemake in particular is associated, not Salacia, Makemake is associated with an indigenous culture that is still alive today, and I'm not of that culture. It's Makemake is a creator being of the people of Rapa Nui, or as English speaking people call it, have called it Easter Island. So yeah, so I feel like I want to honor it and be a little slow in defining it too much, but it is definitely calling to me, and it's definitely, the South Node is absolutely heading toward it. And just in what I do know about the story related to Makemake and quote unquote Easter Island, it's pretty darn powerful. Actually, Jude Caravan talks about Makemake and Easter Island in this book that I currently am reading, called The 13th Step, where she traveled around the world, and one of the places she went was Easter Island, and she tells the whole story of Easter Island in, well, her version of it, at least, in that book. So yeah, there's a lot there, and I would like to feel into that in an honoring way coming up sometime soon. But just to name briefly that that energy is definitely there. And yeah, and I'll say more about Celestia probably in an upcoming video too, maybe when I do the Makemake one, but that's also in the vicinity of the North Node now. And just to say, I think I mentioned this in my last video, Neptune now is, really, it's basically going to be effectively stationing retrograde in the time of this new moon-ish. It's going to go retrograde on July 2nd, I want to say, and it will be going retrograde at the very, very, very last minutes of 29 of Pisces. In other words, the very last minutes of the entire zodiac. And so it won't cross into Aries until next year, but it's going to get so unbelievably close this year in the next few weeks. And that energetic is really strong. And Neptune is 13 degrees away from squaring this new moon. So it's a little far to say it's squaring, but given how powerfully strong, that it's really almost going retrograde, it's in the last degree where it's going to be going retrograde soon after this, a month after this new moon. I mean, yeah, after this new moon. It's energetic, I would say, is in play. It's something to at least notice or see if it calls to you in some way, even though it's not an exact square, the way that Saturn is really, really definitely squaring this new moon. Okay, those are the major components calling me there. So then, I know, actually, I'll just also add, because I'm getting told to add this, Chiron will be conjunct Hygeia, like at the same degree on this new moon. So that's also really powerful in terms of our relationship to healing and our bodies, and lots of layers there. Okay, so now let's take a look at where this new moon is going to be in the sky. Okay, here is the moon and the sun and Venus, all right here in the constellation of the Bull, or Taurus. And you can see Jupiter over here still quite close to the Pleiades. Mercury moving beyond Jupiter toward where the sun is. And here's Aldebaran. Aldebaran is the eye of the bull. And so something I feel called to say about this is when we look at any of the myths and the stories associated with any of the stars, with any of the planets, with anything, there are infinite possibilities, because how many billions of humans have looked up and seen Aldebaran? Many billions. Lots and lots of humans. And of course, all around the world, there have been various stories that go with these stars and various configurations of how people have grouped them into constellations or relationships with each other. So there's no one right or wrong way to feel it, of course. Um, and so I'll just explain, I'll just name my own feeling on it. And again, at the second half of this video, I'm going to channel and we'll see what comes through and what comes alive for you. But in one version of, you know, of thinking of the story of the bull and the eye of the bull in mythology is Zeus, Jupiter. And long story short, basically Zeus turned into this bull in order to seduce Europa, to manipulate her, right? And it's not a great story in a certain sense there. And the eye, if you look at pictures of the bull in that story with Europa, the eyes of the bull are like this. They're transfixed, like they're it's like he's caught in a spell of Eros, because there's actually a painting of the Cupid, the little cherub Eros, pulling the bull into the ocean with Europa climbing onto Jupiter, and they're Zeus, and Zeus the bull is like, you can look at his eyes and see he's in a spell. He's under a spell from Eros. Okay, so there's one way of thinking of the eye of the bull, absolutely for sure associated with that mythology. And I'm naming it because it exists. I personally don't get called by that version of it. When I go out in the night, and you can't see Aldebaran anymore because it's now with the sun, but for the last several months, Aldebaran was high in the sky in the evening. And I would go out there and stand under the stars and look and see Orion, which is here, and then Aldebaran. Because once you see the belt of Orion, one of the things my eye immediately gets drawn to is Aldebaran, because Aldebaran is really, really bright. And so when I would stand under there, I love Orion, first of all. I absolutely love Orion. There's something so special about Orion, and there's something so special, especially it really, really calls to me, is this nebula in the Orion Nebula. I don't have an explanation for that. That's something I would love to feel into with all of you some more someday. But yeah, so I get personally, when I look up at the sky, this part of the sky, my being gets drawn straight to the Orion Nebula. Well, I first see the belt of Orion, then my being goes straight to the nebula of Orion. And I notice Betelgeuse. I don't personally at this minute get super drawn to it, but then I go up here and I see Aldebaran, and Aldebaran is shining really brightly, and it's really calling me often. And then the Pleiades are over here, not too far, right? And I absolutely, absolutely love the Pleiades, but for whatever reason, the Aldebaran and the Orion Nebula are particularly talk to me recently, this past several months. When I feel into Aldebaran personally, and this is not the truth, this is just what I notice in myself, I feel it as quote unquote the eye of the bull, but not associated with Zeus and that whole mythology. What I actually feel in it is I get taken into, it feels like a portal to the truth of everything, the truth of the divine. It feels like I just go, it's like, you know how you can, the stereotype or the cliche that when the eyes are the window to the soul, that's how Aldebaran feels for me. There's this feeling like I just go, like I could go straight through the light of Aldebaran and just get taken right into some kind of pure truth of the light of existence. And so I'm really curious. I haven't ever channeled about Aldebaran ever. So I'm excited to do that with you in a minute, and I don't know what's going to come through. And again, this is just that what I'm describing there is my own personal experience. It does not need to resonate with you. If it does, fine, and if it doesn't, fine. I would love to hear your feelings on it, and I would love to hear what comes alive for you when I channel in a second. Another thing just to say, Aldebaran also definitely can be associated with integrity, and then but then when I was looking into more of how people describe or talk about Aldebaran, this what came up that I absolutely loved because it fits so much with how I personally experience it is in the Star Walking book by Paige Bryant. There's a quote that Kaylin Castell names that says, Aldebaran is one of the keys to opening the doorway to the enlightened mind, or as some have indicated, the entrance into one of the halls of records. Aldebaran is the key to the silver gate where souls enter this realm further suggests this area of the sky is opening a portal of unprecedented transformation. I mean, yeah, so I don't necessarily, not necessarily every single word there resonates with how I experience Aldebaran personally, but when I saw that, I went, yeah, that, yes, correct, and again, so maybe the eye of the bull in terms of Zeus being the bull and all that would resonate for you, and maybe it wouldn't. And there's again so many other stories that are associated with Aldebaran that that might resonate for you. Aldebaran's also associated with being the follower, and one way that that's thought of is because Aldebaran follows the Pleiades. I don't know. That doesn't again personally strike me, but just putting it out there in case it resonates for you. But the whole idea of it being a portal to the gateway of, for me, the divine, yes, that's a big yes. Yeah. So we'll drop more into that in a minute when I do the channeling. But I want to name one other thing about just coming back to the actual astrology, my interpretation of just the astrology of this. A few more layers with that. So I've named the facts of the astrology, but now to kind of drop into my feeling on it. So yes, so Aldebaran also is associated with this idea of integrity, and that theme is also very, very, very alive in this new moon because of the square to Saturn. Really key. So something that comes alive for me in this whole new moon is that it feels to me like an energetic of a wave of a new beginning where we can be setting this intention that we've been setting, our whole intention setting around coming into ourselves as the wholeness of the remembering of ourselves as the divine, as source, as ourselves choosing to be the remembering and choosing to be the soul song that is us. That's been a big theme in a lot of what I've been channeling and what all of you have been sharing with me, those of you who have been coming to my free events and coming to and watching my videos and all of that, and part of my community in various ways. And so that theme feels like it's being continued here on lots of levels. So number one, I mean, Gemini has to do with the voice. Definitely, for sure. Venus on one level has to do with our self-value. And so if I were just to stereotypically interpret Venus conjunct new moon in Gemini, I mean, yeah, could easily say this is, again, supporting us to really embody, claim, feel the value, the inherent value of our voice, the need of the world for our voice, et cetera, et cetera. And Saturn, maybe supporting us to bring that into form so that it's not just an idea, it's not just a thought, but it really can be of service in a practical way. So that's more my brain talking, but I do think that's true in this new moon. But then another component that feels really crucial and really key is that Gemini also absolutely has to do with accessibility to everybody and diversity of opinions, diversity of wisdom. So the polarity of Gemini, Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter, can be more of a big picture kind of wisdom, and can be associated more with like a guru type of energy. Now we have Jupiter in Gemini. So it's like bringing the wisdom to the masses, or helping us remember, again, like I've said, this is like, I'm a broken record, but it's so true and so important and so crucial, that the wisdom is coming through every single one of us. And at the same time, what I feel in this, with the new moon conjunct Aldebaran and then squaring Saturn in Pisces, is that on the one hand, Gemini being a mutable sign, being about, the wisdom of the masses, the accessibility to everybody being important, all of that, everybody's opinion being important and valued and honored, and that's all true. And at the same time, there's this theme of integrity. And Saturn, there's this theme of also within the celebration and the honoring of diversity and diverse voices and the voices of everybody, there's also certain standards. So as we are being the remembering and we're holding space for this new world, it's not that we're going to be loosey-goosey and anything goes. There's still a need for a sacred set of standards, if that makes sense. It's like, so there's certain things that, have even been coming up in my own life where I notice, oh, wow, that I am very Piscean. I'm very honoring, and, I really value hearing everybody and being generous and giving and all those Piscean things. And at the same time, though, there's a certain hard and fast yes and no when it comes to some pretty basic things. Like for me, inclusion of everyone is important, and acting in integrity, exceedingly important, and honoring what you say you're going to do, extremely important. Acting in ways that are of service to life, that's probably the biggest one for me. I mean, that's just a non-negotiable. That there is, I can't think of any circumstance where I wouldn't feel incredibly passionately that is a rule, that we're here. The only yes is anything that is in service of life in one way or another. So, I've held a lot of spaces over the last 2 years in this line of work, and lots and lots and lots of, I've held lots of meetings and group spaces and in my social work career also. But something that I've come to over the course of, I don't know, my life, my whole entire life, is that yes, of course, I want to hear everybody's perspective. Yes, of course, I want to honor every person in the room, et cetera, et cetera. And there are some absolute definite non-negotiable ground rules. The number one being, we will only act in integrity with what is in service of life. Period. The end. Right? So I feel that in the Saturn squaring this new moon, and Saturn being in Pisces. I also feel it actually very strongly in the Eris Xena conjunct Mars energy actually around this time also. And I'm sure there's other things here, but it's just incredibly crucial that we do have certain standards. This is not creating this new earth or this new way of being is not about love and light and airy fairy and anything goes. It absolutely has to have a certain kind of structure and certain kind of standards. And then it's a tricky balance. It's a skill to learn how to be a leader in a way that upholds those standards and that yet is still welcoming and inviting and celebratory of the diversity of all voices and all of that, right? So again, Saturn, leader, spiritual leader, Saturn in Pisces. Yeah. So those are some of the themes I feel in all of this. And then two things that go, the last part I want to add into this is that, well, where are we going to know our standards and where are we going to know what is in integrity and what isn't? We know, our soul knows. Like, it's not actually, sometimes as humans we can struggle with, well, what's the truth here? What's actually right or wrong? Or so and so has this perspective, this other person has this perspective. um what do I do? That's all true also, but if we go to the heart of the truth of what our soul knows, our soul already knows. Our soul just knows what's in integrity and what isn't, period. The end. And so it's a matter of tapping into that. And part of what can help us tap into that, I feel like, is Aldebaran, portal to the light of the divine. And again, we're going to see what comes through. Like, but I think of the eye of the bull, right? If the eye of the bull is like a portal to the light of truth of the divine, there's also this element for me of the light, the eye of the bull as Aldebaran, as being all seeing and all knowing of what is truly in integrity, what is truly the light of life. Um, and with this with this new moon and actually Aldebaran squaring the south node right now, also for me that brings through the gifts of our soul that our soul already knows. And there might be things in that south node energetic that need to be released also, like the people pleasing of Libra and the on and on and on, all that. But it for me, it brings in this element of, we already know, we are literally beings of infinity. We are made of, I mean, physically we're made of the same substance as everything, the cosmos, the stars, this planet Earth. I mean, what else would we be made of? We're obviously made of substance of the Earth, and the Earth is made of substance of the cosmos. So the substance of our cells has been around since the beginning of the cosmos, and our being is an ancient being that knows the truth of the cosmos and the truth of source, which is what we are. So when we have that south node in play, especially in a trine like that, again, I feel like that also feels like a portal of our own soul knowing and being. Okay, great. Let's see what wants to come through. I'm sure there's more. I'm just like scanning. There has to be more. I know there's more. I know there's more. Okay, I think that's good enough for right this second. Yeah. Okay. So let's come into the channeling. I've never, ever, ever, ever connected with Aldebaran, ever. I mean, in this kind of way. So the Pleiades were, I've done that before, but this is my first time with that. So yay, you get to do it all together. Yeah, and again, I would love to hear what comes through for you. All right. Hey, hello, welcome, beautiful beings. Yes, so as Martha was saying, the light of the knowing of all of the beings of every star, every being of the cosmos and beyond has infinite potentials, infinite ways of manifesting, and infinite manifestations in various infinite dimensions. So today what we are here to be doing is simply to hold space for you to connect with this light of the being that you call the star Aldebaran, and that's been known by many other names as well. And for you to feel this light, this quality, this energetic as you and in you, and to feel whatever comes alive, whatever is needed to be known by you, for you. So one thing we want to begin with is that the star, the being, Aldebaran, is actually relatively close to the Earth, to your own star that you call the sun. So relative to many, 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 many other stars in your sky, Aldebaran is among the closer ones. And so we invite you to take a deep breath and feel the light of this being, Aldebaran, this star who is somewhat red in color. We invite you now to allow yourself to be taken straight up into that light, all the way up into that sun that is Aldebaran. The sun, of course, our sun is a star. So Aldebaran is a sun of its own solar system. Just allow yourself to get taken all the way up and straight into the heart of that star, the being Aldebaran. So you can feel the light of this being, strong and powerful, gentle with its own medicine. Feel what that light feels like for you. Feel it fueling and giving you exactly what you're needing, creating the medicine and the healing that is just right for you in this time, in this moment, in any given moment. And then we invite you to feel yourself, allow yourself to then be taken through a portal backward, straight up through the heart of this being you call Aldebaran, and all the way up until you reach a particular vantage point. And you might, in this vantage point, still be in the time-space continuum. You might still be in the cosmos. You might be in the black of the stars. You might be taken all the way out of the time-space continuum and into the void of the nothing and the everything, where you can see the whole chrysalis of the time-space continuum. But your being and the light of Aldebaran know exactly where you are called to be able to see with the clarity of your own light, your own soul, your own knowing, whatever, wherever you're meant to see and be held as a, a, a seer of the creation of life force itself. So something that's incredibly true about source and about the light of source, that when you describe or talk about the notion of integrity, similar when you talk about the notion of wholeness, in the light of source itself and as source, integrity just is. There is no such thing as not integrity. There's no such thing as not wholeness. So when you are seeing through the eyes of light, literally, it's like an automatic prism of the viewpoint of integrity and wholeness and truth that just is. There's no choice other than the beingness of that integrity and that wholeness and that truth that is. So taking another deep breath, we invite you now again to allow yourself, if it feels right, whatever way feels right, to be taken straight up to whatever vantage point your soul and the light of this being Aldebaran and source know is exactly just right for you here and now. And another component we would like to add in is that this bull of the constellation of Taurus is partly associated sometimes with this myth of Zeus and Europa and all of that. And another component of this being the bull or Taurus is the notion that this is a being of earth. This is earth and sky and cosmos and spirit as one. And so the bull is, in a sense, an energetic of embodiment. You feel the muscles of the bull, the strong body of the bull, and how this being, what it's like to be a bull or even a cow, depending on either masculine or feminine, which this constellation has been associated with both. Cows or bulls, all of the above, are muscular embodied, strong. So it's a reminder again of that wholeness of what it is to be earth and spirit and cosmos and light all as one at the same time. And when you move straight into the eye of that bull and out backward up into the vantage point of wherever it is you're needed to go, this can be an energetic of what it is to see and be as the light, yet through a portal of being a being of earth and light as one. You're both embodied fully, present fully, enjoying what it is to have muscles and to be physical, and also at the same time to be light and to be breathing in and out, and to be able to see with incredible clarity. The vision, the truth of light and the integrity and the wholeness implicit in the being of light and the seeing of light. So taking another deep breath, just one more component here, or offering. We now would love to offer for you to, from wherever this vantage point is, you can check in and see if you need or want to adjust your vantage point. You can always move to another vantage point, of course. But once you are in the vantage point that exactly precisely calls to you or for you, we invite you now to take a deep breath and just look around. See what you see what you notice, see where you're called. Where are you as the eye of the bull, called to be, called to see? Maybe you're called to see aspects of the cosmos itself, maybe other stars. Maybe you look across and see the Pleiades, or you look over and you see Orion's belt, the Orion Nebula. Maybe you see Perseus not too far away. Maybe you see unnamed or even unknown beings to humans in this moment of time consciously. Maybe you see infinite realms, infinite dimensions, other beings, light beings, spirit beings, star beings. Taking another deep breath. Keep noticing whatever it is you're being shown, whatever is just right for you. You can feel also, if this feels right for you, you can feel the light of this being, Aldebaran, coming into your third eye, the pineal gland, and clearing and cleaning your crystalline light, innate functioning of the third eye area. So there might be ways in which the quality of this light, this being, the power, the knowing of this being, of what it is to see as the light, can be clearing and healing and strengthening your actual third eye, your actual pineal gland and the part of your being that sees and can see all things, anything and everything, literally anything and everything in existence that you are meant to see, that is in the highest good, your highest good, and the highest good of the all that is for you to see. You are completely 100,000% capable of seeing it. And so this light, this being, medicinal quality of this Aldebaran energy perhaps might be clearing or cleaning, strengthening, healing, restoring to wholeness and balance and harmony. This third eye chakra, nail gland area of your own being, your own brain. So if you're feeling that happening now or at any time, you can just feel it as gentle and powerful at the same time, easeful. Just relax into that. I want to just be with that for a little while, let that settle in if you want, if you like. And then taking one more long, slow, deep breath. You can notice either you might want to just stick with this, stay with this for a while, or if you feel called, you could take one more, look around, see where, if there's somewhere else you feel called or drawn to look. You might feel called to look at Earth itself as the energetics of the Earth. You might feel called to look at a particular area of your life through the lens of this light, truth of light as you, as the all that is, as source itself. You can just notice what comes alive, what's present as you see as the light that you are. And please come back to this channeling, this way of being, this your friend, spirit friend, soul friend, star, sun friend. You call the star Aldebaran. Be with us anytime. You can feel the healing and the transforming of your third eye chakra, strengthening of it, the integrity of it, continuing as long as you give it permission and you invite it, it will continue to be strengthening and healing for you anytime, all the time. Again, in a gentle and powerful way that is only in your absolute radical highest good and in the highest good of the all that is. And so it is. Amen. Okay, that's cool. Um, Something I was feeling at the very end there was, but I was told it wasn't the time to actually go there in the guided portion. But I'll name it because it feels important. Is I was feeling as we connect with that third eye way of seeing and perceiving and being. Also, another step, another component maybe down the line would be, connecting that with the heart, with the whole body, with source itself, the site of source itself. But I was told to just leave it there for now, so I did. Uh, but Venus, which is going to be conjunct this new moon, often is thought of as ruling the heart chakra. So just to put that in there too. Um, all right. Well, I think that's complete for now. I would again love, 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 love to hear what came alive for you in that channeling, anything you're reflecting on with this new moon in general, or anything I said in this video. Of course, I was always would love to hear from you on any of it. Put it in the comments. If you like this video, I love it when you click like, so I know you liked it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would love, love, love for you to subscribe. And I also want to name, I am going to be doing another free gathering on June 21st, a solstice gathering. And I just put that up on my website yesterday. So I'll put the link here. You can sign up. Please invite anybody and everybody who you feel called to invite. This is going to be, I'm really excited. It actually fits very much with what just came through about the new moon. This is going to be something called a council of the realms of infinity. So it's going to be a channeled, guided coming together of, so the spirit world basically says, we are beings of infinity and there are infinite realms, and our natural way of operating as humans, as beings of this planet and beings of infinity, is to be in constant constant communication and dialogue and relationship with all of the other infinite realms, all the infinite realms everywhere, all the time. And so in this time of remembering, this great remembering, this is one of the components that they say, we need to do again. And so this is going to be the first time that I'm going to be holding a space where that's the point, is for us all to come into this council of the realms of infinity, to be with the beings, the benevolent beings of infinite realms, and see what comes alive in each of us and all of us. So I'll spend time channeling for us to come into that place and that space. And then for anybody who wants to stay and share anything or wants to share over time, then there'll be time for sharing. And of course, you can always share in the actual course link itself. But it's free. If you feel like donating, either for that event or in general, I welcome that. But please, please, please come for free and share with anybody else who you think might benefit. Yeah, great. I think that's it. I will add that this summer I will have a little more time than usual for individual sessions. So if you're wanting individual sessions, especially kind of the second half of June, July are good time, really good times, unusually good times for me for that. And yeah, so there's more time available on my calendar than usual for that time period. And I'm sure there's other stuff, but I'm still zoning out a little bit. So I think that's all for right this minute. And just please be in touch anytime. If you want to sign up still for the Lelea Kuhanua course, if you haven't done that, highly, highly recommend it. It's such a beautiful time together, and I'm really excited to be with you all again at that free gathering for June solstice. winter solstice for all of you in the Southern Hemisphere, with summer solstice for everybody in the Northern Hemisphere. I think it's going to be really powerful, really magical, and I would love to see you there. So either recorded or live or both or all of it. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will see you soon.